since people are beginning to misappropriate the term Holocaust and compare Christopher Columbus to a certain Nazi and say all these other things, I pretty much have to say that in terms of what I said yesterday about Columbus and the Holocaust and I guess anything related to that matter, I stand by what I said about the comparison between Columbus and a certain Nazi being anti-Semitic. And the reason, and being a Jew who found out that I was a Jew and really for the first time seeing what my own family get to go through as well as, of course, other Jews throughout history, I am beginning to see that had Columbus not been a crypto-Jew and had more and more evidence not come out that Christopher Columbus was a crypto-Jew, the kind of, for example, Indigenous Peoples Day activism and Christopher Columbus being compared to a certain Nazi and all that would not be happening. And if you look at, for example, the Charles Garcia article on CNN, and even if you look at Wikipedia of all places, which gives different theories on his origins, you quickly realize that Christopher Columbus, as both the Garcia article and even Wikipedia say, Christopher Columbus was looking for, first of all, he was looking for lack of a better term, a new Israel. Basically, he was a sort of combination of Theodore Herzl and I guess you could say Pincus in his day. Because remember, Pincus, when the Moabites were tempting the Israelites, and of course, unfortunately, quite a few Israelites fell for the temptation, Pincus in his zeal decided to pretty much, well, stab a good number. Actually, it was, I think the name was Cosby, the daughter of Cosby, and he decided to stab her and, for lack of a better term, her paramour. And also, when Israel went into the land of Israel, we were told that we had to kill 7 of the nations because of their pagan ways. And if you look at, again, Christopher Columbus, he was looking for a new land, at least for the time being, since Israel was occupied by, for lack of a better term, it even talks about how, and of course I know that people who do not believe in Jesus or Yeshua as the Messiah, it talks about in the book of Matthew, talks about basically how there will be a time in the Gentiles where Gentiles are going to trot on Jerusalem, and that's what was happening at the time. And so, of course, Christopher Columbus was not going to make Aliyah because he figured, okay, the time ain't yet. Eventually, God's going to, kick out the Gentiles, and as it says in the prophets, basically, no uncircumcised foreigner is going to be able to come into Yerushalayim anymore. And so Christopher Columbus is sitting there thinking, okay, I'm doing what I can, what I have, at where I am. And so he thinks it's, of course, India that he comes to, and then he realizes, oh, this is not exactly India. And then he sees these pagan Native Americans, and, he figures that, well, they are nice and all that, and he also figures at the same time, they're also pagan, they're not following God's ways. And I mean, even think about, for example, when there was, for lack of a better term, that incident with the Canaanites who decided to disguise themselves as travelers, and for lack of a better term, Joshua called their bluff, and so we know what happened with that whole incident. And again, so if you look from the view of Christopher Columbus, assuming that he was a crypto-Jew, and of course for lack of a better term, as I said before, the misappropriation of the term Holocaust, you have to look at, instead of putting, for lack of a better term, your anti-Semitic filters on it, you have to look at what Christopher Columbus was thinking, and not just saying, oh, this guy was causing a Native American Holocaust and this and this and this. And as far as the term Holocaust, by the way, and in terms of what happened to the Native Americans and all that, I have never heard I mean, there are some exceptions, I'm sure. I've never really heard any Jew mitigate, deny, or make light of what happened to the Native Americans and even African Americans. I've never heard people say, oh, slavery wasn't that bad, oh, this and this and this. In fact, people have pointed out that the Nazis were unfortunately inspired by, for lack of a better term, what happened to the African Americans, although, of course, their motive, unfortunately, was to wipe out an entire ethnic group. And I mean, that's what people, by the way, are saying about Columbus, too. Oh, he wanted to wipe out an entire ethnic group. Well, again, that wasn't the case. Columbus, unfortunately, I mean, things happen to conquered peoples all the time. And, of course, again, if you look from Columbus's point of view, you have to understand where he was coming from. And as I said, if you weren't a crypto Jew, all these anti-Semitic theories about, oh, how Columbus, for lack of a better term, was basically a Nazi, all these, as I said, all these anti-Semitic theories about Columbus would not be coming out. And, I mean, what else can I say? So, there's that. And also, as I said, you don't have to, for lack of a better term, you don't have to make Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day mutually exclusive. You can celebrate the merits of each.